Hello, welcome to another episode of Montana Shares, your opportunity to find out about the nonprofits that make our state great. I'm your host, Bill Crane, and today we have Pete from NAMI here. So welcome to the show, Pete.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I sure appreciate it.
You bet. So we'll be talking about the NAMI Walk coming up a little bit later in the show. Let's start with the high-level view of just what NAMI is all about and what you guys do.
Well, NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and it was formed, I think it was back in 1979 by some moms of whose kids had struggled with mental illness. Our mission is basically to educate, support, and advocate for those people with serious mental illness and their families. We do it through a number of different programs here in Montana, many educational programs. We have the NAMI peer-to-peer classes, and those are for consumers to meet. They share their experiences, stories. It's a kind of a nice healing process, and great way for them to be able to get out. And then probably the most well-known of our education classes is the NAMI Family to Family. And NAMI Family to Family is a pretty intense 12-week course. It's one class per week, 3 hours. And it's basically for family members of those who suffer from severe mental illness. And the idea is to first teach about mental illness. What is it? What is it not? How does it manifest itself? What kinds of illnesses are there? What are the characteristics and so forth? And then a lot on what's the best way that you can support your family member. How do you deal with someone in crisis? How do you talk about ways to stay on course with your therapy, with your meds and so forth? So it's a terrific course, and probably how I got involved with the NAMI Walks. We took the course, my wife and I, and at the end of the course they said, "Jude, would you like to volunteer for something?" And, yeah, I will.
Okay.
So here we are.
Does this have a certain start date and stop date, or is this something that can be started any time, or it's an important sounding program, so how does it start?
Family to Family runs several times during the course of the year, and we will announce it. We'll send it out in the paper. You'll look in the paper under local events and so forth, and you'll see the course be announced. It is free, no charge, and all you need to do is call the NAMI office here in Helena at 443-7871, and you can register for the Family to Family classes.
Okay.
Very easy to get involved.
Sure, your website has information on
it
that
does
as well.
Yeah, namimt.org, you bet.
Okay, so let's go a little bit into the walk. So what all does the walk do? Obviously it's a fundraiser, but it has a lot more than that, I'm sure.
Well, the walk is, ostensibly it's a 5K walk. It's not a liver-eating Johnson affair. This is more of a saunter, but we walk from Memorial Park through Centennial Park, up and around the Carroll College campus, and then back to Memorial Park. The walk is primarily there to increase awareness about mental illness. As you probably know, or maybe you don't know, there has long been a stigma that's been attached to mental illness. And I think a lot of that comes from a lack of understanding about mental illness, what it is. It's only recently that we have now, even here in Montana, through the Mental Health Parity Act, are treating mental illness the same way that other physical ailments are treated. And mental illness is a physical ailment. It's a chemical imbalance in the brain. And so we're finally at a point now where it's being treated just like any other physical ailment. Insurance companies have to treat it the same way, and that's made a huge difference in the ability to provide care and to provide help and support for those with mental illness. So it's, and one of the reasons behind it, I think that this is one of the things that has been a goal of the walk. You know, let's get people aware of what's going on with mental illness. Let's make people aware that this isn't something to be feared, or there shouldn't be a stigma attached to it. And people with severe mental illness can recover, can go on and lead very productive lives, and can function in society just like anybody else. So it's a good thing.
There's some stat, I don't know exactly what it is. I thought it was somewhere around like 1 in 4 people have some degree of mental illness, or
1 in 4 families are affected by mental illness. That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And in fact, I heard a talk one night. We had a fellow who spoke the week before a NAMI Walk here a couple of years ago who said in his experience, every family has a story. Almost every family has been impacted in some way or another. So it's much more common than we realize. But it's the nice thing about what's happening, and I think this is a result of the walk, we're talking about it more. It is out in the open, we discuss it. One of the areas that we see NAMI have a big impact, and that we're seeing more of an impact. Montana has a terrible history and a terrible problem with suicide, particularly youth suicide. We were the first, we brought a program to our schools here in Montana called Youth Aware of Mental Illness. We're the first schools in the country to utilize the program, and NAMI Montana brought that to our schools, and it's been a good, effective program in educating the students. One of the things we try to do with the NAMI Walk is get a lot of involvement from the schools. We have a school coordinator on the committee, and we've in the past had great response and great involvement with the students in the walk, so it's a good thing.
Okay. I mean, we do sit like #1 for suicides per capita, is that correct?
Unfortunately, it is, yes.
Yeah, so there's definitely some work that needs to be done there.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you have other results that are sort of a product of the work that's being done?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, our executive director, Matt Kuntz, is a tremendous young man, very involved. He, back in the Obama administration, worked with the Veterans Administration to get the Veterans Administration to do mandatory screening of returning vets for PTSD. It's a terrible problem with our returning military. We're actually losing more of our veterans to suicide than we lose on the battlefield. That's a terrible thing. But the VA is moving forward, and they're working on getting that kind of turned around. And we've had a tremendous amount of support from Senator John Tester. As he's the chairman of the VA committee in Congress, and he has been a tremendous help in getting some of these programs through the Veterans Administration. So that's been terrific. One of the other things that NAMI has done is we helped found the research center at Montana State University for mental health. And in fact, Matt right now is serving as the interim director till we find a new director down there, as well as his duties as executive director of NAMI Montana.
Busy man right now.
He is. He's a very busy guy, but it's boy, I'll tell you, we would be lost without Matt. He's a terrific guy. Yeah.
Okay, so how does a person become involved with NAMI?
Very simple. You can call the NAMI offices, tell them that you'd like to volunteer. You know, our primary, other than our family-to-family classes and so forth, and we do have training sessions every year for instructors for these. And it's not just here in Helena. We do family-to-family classes in many different locations throughout the state. We have NAMI affiliates, and I hope I get all these right, in Kalispell, in Missoula, Butte, Helena, Great Falls, Bozeman, Billings, Livingston, Lewistown. I hope to heck I haven't left anybody out. But as you can see, we're pretty well spread out across the state. And the goal, of course, is to, if there's a need, be able to conduct these classes in these affiliate locations, so we can get the message and the training and the information out to wherever we can in the state. So yeah.
Again, going to your website is going to be a great place to start that whole process.
Yes, if you go to NAMIMontana.org, that's a great way to start. Yeah. And most of our volunteers, if we take a look at our organizing committee for the walk, and this is our only fundraiser of the year. This is, we raise all of our funds to keep NAMI going out of this particular walk. And it's a great opportunity for people to give to a really worthy cause. And the best way to do that is to form your own team. Get your teammates out there and raise money from friends, relatives, whomever, and that all money goes to NAMI Montana. We apportion it then out to the affiliates based on what their contribution was to the walk, and that's how we get going. Okay. But it's a great deal. Yeah.
So it starts at 11:30 in the morning. The actual walk starts a little bit later.
Yeah, the actual walk, we'll start walking at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
And but before that, we have lots of announcements. We usually have some music beforehand. There are a number of booths that you'll find around. There's probably 15 to 20 tables, which are sponsored by various nonprofits from around this area and around the state, all pertaining in some way or other to mental health. And so it's a great opportunity to pick up some information, learn some things, and kind of get a little more aware of what's going on with mental illness and mental health these days. Yeah.
Been there. I know there's plenty of stuff going on. You're not going to get bored if you show up early by any means.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
Okay. Well, great. I think that kind of wraps up what we need to talk about.
Oh, good.
So,
all right.
Thanks for being on the show. I hope you have a really nice day on September 22nd.
We'll keep our fingers crossed.
There you go.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Appreciate it.
You bet. And thank you guys for tuning in as always. Have a wonderful evening.